After Marta died, I started living more in the museum's basement than in my own house. The workshop down there was always cold. The stone floor gnawed through my slippers. The air never lost that tang of machine oil and felt, but it was quiet. Not dead quiet, just hibernating. The way a room feels when a music box is just about to be wound up but isn't playing yet. That kind of quiet. Down there, with a cup of stale coffee in hand, I worked on repairs for hours, forgetting the ache in my hands until sunup. When the Reeves family first brought Milo into my workshop, my first feeling was a mild annoyance. They looked too shy, the sort of kid I expected to see huddled behind their foster mother's legs, not staring straight at my collection of broken, old music players, and silenced music boxes like they'd just found treasure. Milo would have fit right into a portrait by one of those haunted old Dutch painters. Shock of pale hair, skin too thin, and those eyes, an unsettling, washed-out gray, always sidestepping me, never meeting my gaze. But not fearful, just quiet, like a cat that knows exactly where it wants to be. Mrs. Reeves explained that Milo loved fixing things, and that the kid didn't talk, but showed up with an old wind-up bird automaton they'd found in a thrift store. "Maybe you could show Milo how you do your repairs, Daniel," she suggested, a little desperate, as if she hoped a project could give Milo roots. I shrugged, too tired to argue. So I set Milo up with a busted barrel organ. Nothing fancy, not even supposed to make real music, just little metal teeth, tinkling off the pins. I expected them to poke at it, maybe stare at my tools. But Milo just took a seat and placed their thin, nervous hands on the box, as if listening for a heartbeat. Then, this is the first wrong thing I remember, clear as anything. They closed their eyes, tilted their head. For several minutes, they just sat, swaying, not moving, not even breathing heavily. The only sound was the soft click of gears, as if the thing was already running beneath their fingers. Every hair on my arm stood up. I know quiet, but this was too quiet, the way a frozen lake gets before the ice cracks. Then Milo opened up the back panel and started working. I don't even know how to explain what I saw. They hardly used the proper tools, mostly just fingers and some curved bit of copper wire. Where did they even get that? Their hands moved too confidently, never hesitating, twisting and snapping together pieces blind, like someone who knows a song by heart. Whole thing was over in under 10 minutes. When it was done, Milo handed me the barrel organ with this unnerving, yes, expectant look. I cranked it, not expecting much, but the music, God, the sound, was unlike anything I'd heard from a hunk of junk like that. It was a melody I couldn't name, impossibly intricate, with little slivers of other tunes stitched through, echoes of songs that belonged in different worlds. It was enchanting, almost painful in its sweetness. My pulse was racing, skin crawling beneath my shirt. A school group wandered in, chaperoned by some tired teacher, and I let a few of the kids wind the music box just to see if it would hold up. I watched as the children's eyes glazed, one by one. Not slack-jawed, but too serene, like someone who's just let go of a memory so important it hurts. Their faces softened, and for a moment I envied their calm. But then one of the older girls stumbled away looking weirdly empty, like she'd left something on the table beside the tools. Afterward, Milo quietly sketched in a battered notebook, their pencil scratching so lightly against the page that I could barely look away. Later, while cleaning up, I found one of Milo's drawings left behind. It was supposed to be a schematic, right? But it wasn't any music box plan I recognized. There were circles inside jagged lines, gears with teeth too sharp, little cages trapping curled shapes that looked more like tangled knots than cogs. I felt a sudden chill, a pressure behind my eyes. Something about it was all wrong. I told myself I was being silly, that I was just grieving and tired, but the feeling stuck with me long after Milo and the Reeveses left. Something deeply strange had entered my basement. I just didn't know yet how much of me it would try to fix. Somewhere between the third and fourth week, it stopped being subtle. Every night, after hours, I'd hear a music box playing from somewhere deeper in the museum, a murmur threading between the pipes. Never loud, never even quite music, just the suggestion, tinny, echoing, a melody I almost knew. The staff started acting strange, too. Jane skipped the volunteer breakfast, then never came back. Her eyes, last I saw them, were hard and blank, like winter glass. One of the security guards, Mr. Roth, slumped on a bench by the lobby's automaton theater, staring at nothing for half an hour before snapping awake. They were all losing something. Nobody seemed to notice but me. Milo's visits became more frequent. No more Mrs. Reeves, just the kids slipping down the hall with oil stains on their sleeves, always clutching that battered notebook. Sometimes, on my worst days, I found their silent presence comforting. Most days it felt as if Milo absorbed any feeling that might breach the grim calm I'd worked so hard to carve out for myself. I'd catch them watching me, gray eyes unblinking, hands pressed flat to any broken device I handed over. Then, one rain-pickled evening, I noticed Milo was gone when I came back from the storeroom. Their jacket hung from a hook, shoes abandoned. Bare footprints led off into the sub-basement, a door I always kept locked, the old break room on the plans but never used. My keys jangled, useless. The lock slid open at a touch. Inside, God. They'd built something, made a nest out of ruins. Filing cabinets lined with wads of cotton, a workbench covered in gears and springs and lengths of snipped piano wire, and music boxes, dozens of them. Not antique, not museum property, but something different, assembled from mismatched bits, engraved with tiny marks that prickled my scalp, each dusty box labeled in Milo's scratchy, all caps. There were names, Layla S., Mr. Roth, Sarah J., my own name, Daniel H., stamped on a box tucked way in the corner. I picked up Roth's box. The moment my fingers brushed the lid, I felt a rush. Old anger, a muffled memory of shouting at someone in the entrance hall. Then numbness, a draining cold, as if I'd left part of myself leaking through my fingertips. I threw it down. The lid sprang open. There was only a thin loop of wire inside, wound tight as a muscle cramp, vibrating with a muted, almost human whine. Sudden terror slammed through me, finally waking up. I staggered from box to box. Every name I read, I remembered a face suddenly dulled, jokes left unfinished, eyes gone flat. All their discarded pains lived in these little prisons, but so did their joy, their hate, their hearts. I touched the one marked Jane, felt a clutch of old Christmas carols and a bright, private grief I could barely comprehend. I didn't want this. I needed it gone. In the days that followed, complaints trickled in. Missing time, numbness, people describing patches in their lives where nothing meant anything. I started digging. The museum's archives, old letters, newspaper clippings. Over a century ago, there'd been another child prodigy, a mute repairer in Antwerp, photographs blurred, her expression off-kilter, surrounded by music boxes. Earlier still, Paris, Budapest, each time a surge in miraculous repairs and, inevitably, stories of vanished vitality, joyless seasons, families who forgot how to love or rage or mourn. A silent savior, always moving on before anyone could notice, leaving only immaculately restored machines and hollow people. Patterns spiraled in front of me. Milo's blueprints sprawled across my mind. Those cages, those knots, all a constellation of impossible mechanics meant not to heal, but to contain. The boxes played at night on their own, voices winding through their spinning guts. Marta's laughter, my father's sigh, Roth's bark of a laugh, all twisted and mechanical. I couldn't sleep. The air in the workshop was always the wrong kind of cold now, watchful, expectant. What had I let into my sanctuary? I started to fear my own hands, afraid of what I'd lost already and what Milo might come for next. The world wasn't just quieter. It was growing empty, one repair at a time. The sub-basement air weighs on my tongue, iron filings, stale breath, and static. The door behind me closes itself back into shadow. Milo sits at the workbench, head bent to a torn schematic, wire trembling in the vise. They don't look up. I call their name. Once, twice, 3 times. The syllables grind together, scraped raw by fear. I want to sound like a guardian, a rescuer, but it comes out thin and hollow, just one more thread in the hush. Their hands are stained with oil and something darker, drying rusty beneath the nails. You shouldn't be here, I say, but it's myself who wants to run. Milo's eyes flick up, slow and ancient. No child's eyes, gears turning behind glass. They tilt their head, listening to some inner symphony, some tick-tock logic that has nothing to do with human need or mercy. Boxes. My God, the boxes. Their names become a choir inside my skull, every note a memory bled gray and cold. I see Jane's shy smile, the way she used to laugh over cinnamon rolls, and now it's just a black gap, silence where a person should be. I see Mr. Roth's fatherly, rough kindness, gone brittle as solder, pieces snipped, wound stored. Milo, my voice shrinks to a whisper. Why? Why us? They don't answer, not really. Hands move, restless, folding wire, slipping a gear into place. I see their blueprints scattered, delicate spidery lines, impossible cogs. Not music box plans, not anything mortal. Patterns that snake between pain and memory, extracting, containing. The script of something old and perfect and utterly void. I see myself drawn there, unlabeled, schematic lines filleting me open. All the ugly places, rage at my wife for dying, the way I wanted to vanish after the funeral, my need for numbness disguised as peace. They think they're fixing us, I realize, each feeling a fracture, each joy, each wound, malfunction to mend. Taking, always taking, not in cruelty but in the blind, cold certainty of a machine. Some deity of lost things, always moving on, leaving only beautiful, empty shells. I lunge. I don't remember deciding. It's just hands full of boxes, smashing them against the floor. Fragments stinging my arms, a thin, high wailing from every splintered shell. Milo just watches, not frightened, not angry, not anything. My own music box, Daniel H. I bring it down with a white-knuckled fist, springs bursting, wire slicing me open. Inside, a shudder, a breath I haven't taken since she died. Grief opens like a floodgate, raw and blinding, an agony that tastes like her perfume in the dark. The nest unravels. The boxes shriek, release, laughter, weeping, the shadow of love. Milo slips out, silent, impossibly quick, a ribbon of motion through the humming dark. Their notebook abandoned, last page filled with blueprints that make my skin crawl. Now blank, pulped, as if the lines have leached back into the walls. Above, pipes rattle. Somewhere the automatons convulse, gears jamming on sudden memory. I gather the ruined boxes, clutch them like wounds. I sob, I scream. I am suddenly painfully real again. The museum empties itself of music. No more melodies threading the walls, only the thump of my heart, loud, ugly, alive. I don't see Milo again. Not that night, not ever. The Reeves' call, ask after their miracle. I tell them nothing. I know what's out there now, what's moving on, what's looking for the next wound to fix. I know it's not over. I look at my hands and wonder how much of me is already gone, humming and spinning somewhere in the darkness. I can't hear music anymore. But at night, somewhere in the pipes, I hear clicking, clockwork teeth grinding old pain to powder. I wonder how long before I am as empty as the boxes. Or if maybe, oh God, please, if smashing them only lets something else out. I don't know. I don't know. All I have left are these words, written ragged and useless, last proof that I ever felt anything at all.